So folks, and with that, welcome to the first part of our little polishing series. Today we are starting with the BMW E. Let's take a look at the whole thing. The mileage is high and the vehicle has already suffered quite a bit. And you can make perfect use of this video series if you want to get started with polishing your vehicle as well. I will provide you with a few tips and tricks, but I will keep it quite compact so that you can absorb a lot of information in a short amount of time. And we will test how to approach a car like this when faced with such a paint condition. What should one pay attention to, and what are the individual steps? Here we go. Have fun. So this is it, our little BMW E gem. And the whole thing has now received a few updates, including new turn signals here at the front on the side in a bit of a smoke color to make it look more uniform. I already mentioned the grille to you, and the side indicators are new as well. The rear lights were also completely cloudy, so they were replaced and made completely new. 4 pieces at the back, so there will definitely be some exciting updates coming. Today, we want to focus on polishing. And before we can do this, we first need to just clean the vehicle a bit more. The whole thing is also washed, but we still have a few small dust spots on it. I will now remove them with a degreaser to perfectly prepare the surface for polishing. You can also see here we have a really deep key scratch on it. This didn't happen during my time, but before. But here we will first take a look at the condition of the paint. Before that, we will degrease it again, because you can see a few light spots here, and we will remove those during the polishing. Once you have washed the vehicle, just apply a bit of paint cleaner here. You don't need a lot of product, just a small amount, because otherwise you'll just soak the cloths unnecessarily with cleaner, and then you'll have difficulties with polishing. So you can see here, the paint condition is really a disaster. Here, paint was also dabbed and so on. So we will never get it to a completely like new condition because there are just too many damages on it. I had already mentioned at the beginning that I might consider having the hood at least repainted after all the sweater actions, but we can think about that at a later time. There are also burned-in stains on it. It is already partially really quite lost. But we want to see how much we can achieve with a polish on this surface. That's what it's all about. And you should be part of the aha effect. Therefore, here's another tip. These 1000 tubes, LED tubes, are good for room lighting, but for paint inspection, we use spot lamps. And you see it even before I do. I'll come over to you. I think, oh yes, that's just exactly how it looks. Total disaster. Let's take a look at this together. I think this is probably the hardest condition I've ever had under my support plate, under my polishing pad. So here you not only have circular scratches from the car wash, the paint is completely cloudy, you don't have any black tone at all, everything is somehow grayish. And here you can also see the burned-in marks, which won't come out at all. Everything here is completely baked on, so we have a lot to do, and I'm curious to see what we can get out of this. And now I will take you with me. You will see my entire setup that I have brought for this. First of all, of course, the Chemical Works polishing machine, Model 15. I really want maximum stroke, or nearly fully maximum stroke, with a 15mm performance plate. I just want maximum power because we really need the maximum for this vehicle. Let's see, Sonax X. In combination, it might be that it doesn't make it either. We will take a look together at a test spot. Suitable polishing pads for this. I already used the pad earlier. I won't take a completely fresh one now because this one is only a few minutes old. That means a cut pad for this. We can also turn it around. It has to be the right way. So a 2-step polishing system, and of course a finish pad as well. We will check everything here with the scan grip. And I also brought the endless microfiber roll from Chemical Works with me. The cloths are also here for testing. We just degreased with the first one here. It went absolutely smoothly. K is also a big one. So you see, the setup is relatively straightforward, but we are definitely making good progress with it. And now we will test together how far we can go. Of course, tape is still needed for masking later, but for now, it's a 50-50 separation or a small area. So next we need the polishing machine. Thanks again for the tip, guys. You are absolutely right. I should have tightened the Velcro a bit more so that the holes align. Next time, when I also make the video here for changing the Velcro, I will place it properly. But I asked again, for the heat dissipation, this very thin Velcro layer is at least 3%, 5% worse because of that. So it works like this, guys, but later we will stick it on properly again to ensure it aligns perfectly. But I actually think it's cool because then the anodized turquoise shows through. And in this condition, we could go straight in with a cut pad and just do an M here. However, since I want to create a small instructional video for you, I first want to take a look together with you at what we can achieve with this damaged paint. And this is always that hair effect. What are we achieving here with a finish pad? We'll put it on the machine right now. What do we achieve with a finish pad and finish polish when they already have very, very good performance? That means here, for example, the red Swisser thermopad. You could also use the thermotrapez, which would be the yellow one. I will link it for you again below. And now we just take some Sonax X and apply a little bit of polish here. Fresh pad, we can also add 2 or 3 more drops. You can also make these drops here and then spread them out. However, I always distribute it directly on the surface of the pad and let it work in by itself. And now we are going to go into this square here. Important, finish pad, finish polish. It actually already has a medium cut included if that's what you want. But we only have a finish pad here from a very, very good and high quality level. And let's just work through the problem because it's always quite interesting for you to see what happens. So let's get started. And here you can clearly see that I'm really pushing it to the maximum. I'm setting the machine speed to the highest level. And as for the movement speed, you can see that I'm moving forward very, very slowly. So the feed rate is very, very low. This allows the pad, polish and machine to easily deliver full performance onto the surface, enabling it to work very nicely and evenly for a long time. Always remember, this is a finish pad and finish polish. So if you're doing a test board here, don't torture it unnecessarily. You'll quickly notice whether the pad can handle it or not. Regarding the paint condition, this is just to show you in the video how far such a setup can go in the finishing area. Normally, with the paint condition here, folks, we don't need to think about what to do first. We don't start with a finish pad and polish for that. You can do this for yourselves to test it out. 2001 here for you for the video. But otherwise, I would now also start privately with the green pad and a cutting polish to do my test run. But you should also learn a little something, and I want to show you what this system can really do overall. It can bring a lot. So, go over it evenly here, really make several passes, and then observe how the pad behaves, whether it becomes very, very soft or very, very hot. Then you can definitely switch to the stronger variant. But let's just take a look at what develops from this. I think this rather simple setup could turn out to be something exciting. The tape has held up well too. I really pressed down on the edges of the tape to put some stress on it as well. The surface is really, really warm. If you press too hard with the finish pad and the polish, it can really happen that you create slight, let's say, small lines here, like holograms, which are marks from the polishing pad. So be a little careful. If that's not the case, I need to go over it briefly again with the pad and the same combination, but with significantly less pressure, because otherwise we end up pressing holograms into it, as I always say. And you can already see it this way. We can first check with the ceiling lamp. So, as you can see here, the paint is really very heavily worn, and you can also see that the finish pad and finish polish are not able to completely remove everything. It's like trying to work through a crust. Do you see the difference here? Even from a distance and how cloudy it all looks, incredible. So here, you really have to work through it. A finish pad and finish polish are not enough for this. We still have some light holograms, because I pressed down very hard. We'll take those out now. I'll show you that in just a moment. Yes. Here you can see again how quickly you can remove such light sanding marks or polishing marks. I go over the surface very, very gently. The setup is exactly the same. And if you want to remove these light marks from the surface, you don't need to make such a slow forward movement with the machine. Instead, keep the machine nice and straight and at a consistent speed, around level 4 to 5, to eliminate these light marks. With that, you have essentially worked in 2 stages, once in quotation marks, a cut in this special case, and now again the finishing stage. You can really feel how you are being braked here, and here you just slide like on an ice surface. So we really need to work through this properly. Now, we actually have a really nice finish. Let's take a look. Yeah, look at that. You sand. Of course, the reflection from the hood is still there, but you can see how finished the paint is. Endless stone chips. You can't really define the lamp clearly because the surface is so sandblasted that there are little spots everywhere. But the difference is really extreme, isn't it? As if we had worked a hole into the hood. So, now let's do the stronger round with the appropriate cut pad and the matching polish, which is 2001. Let's stick with the combination from Sonax for now. Here, I'm applying a bit of polish to the pad. It's still working itself in a little. There might be some light dust formation now because the pad has been sitting here for a few minutes and could have dried out a bit.
but let's just take a look. Here, we first distribute stage 2 nicely over the surface, and then we will work in exactly the same manner as we just did here on the side. And now we have the absolute difference with a heavy cut setup. Indeed, actually, precisely, definitely. The machine remains the same, but I went over it relatively slowly here as well. Of course, only after I had spread it out, and then I really took a lot of time with it and brought it to the maximum temperature to see what the pad can actually achieve. And the combination of polishes with the finish pad and the finish polish is also really interesting for you to see. Here too, the movement is relatively slow. Heat builds up quite quickly and is then stored. The backing plate is trying to get rid of it all. But here I really applied the maximum pressure to achieve the best results in the shortest time possible. And this is really a bit of a struggle for such a pad polish combination. You can also see here that there is indeed a very, very strong heat development. But it's really impressive to see what these products can withstand. Sometimes when it splashes a bit on the side, that's the reason why I've gone a little bit onto this edge here. The pad can sometimes lose its polish a bit because of this small edge. So definitely pay attention to that. Here with our, I'll really call it a junk test hood, we can really push this to its limits, and then we'll take a calm look at the results and see what this combination has already achieved in this small area. The nice thing about the 505 is that when you see it at the end, there was already a lot of heat in it. If you really put it to the test, you can achieve a very nice finish. You can see it here. We have actually reached the same level visually. We can also take another look here at the clarity. So this absolutely goes in the same direction because I really applied a lot of pressure at the end to truly provoke the finish, but that worked well. So it is possible. You can wonderfully use it here as a one-step process. These paint dotted surfaces, for example, you can't just get rid of like that. In the end, the hood will be repainted because you just can't return it to a beautiful condition. However, it is definitely an extreme improvement compared to what we have now. So, what have we discovered through this test? This was a test spot. Whether you use tape or not is up to you, but for the videos, it can be organized much better this way. And we have the nice squares. It just looks better visually. However, you don't have to do it this way at home. You can simply choose an open area. The hood is always a good option. That's why we tested it here on the surface. What have we seen now? Finish polish, finish pad, both are really top quality. With the right machine and a 15mm stroke, you can move a lot on the surface. You have seen it. The final result is not that different. We have extracted a bit more color depth on the side with the heavy cut setup and the finish pad, but not because the finish is better, rather because the paint was simply worn down more during that time. The scratches were smoothed out even more, and the old worn paint was also removed significantly better. You could see it very well live here. I hope it came across a bit on camera as well, that the black looks a little darker, simply a bit more contrasting. Nevertheless, if you say that such a quick one-step process is definitely possible here, you can see that both variants work very well. We didn't have to use any finish polish afterwards because I really worked it so hard with heat that it moved into the finish relatively quickly, and then you ease off the pressure a bit, and you can nicely use the 5 out of 6 gloss level afterwards. I also believe that the difference between 5 out of 6 and 6 out of 6 gloss is no longer visible to the naked eye. At least I can't see it with the naked eye here. It looks absolutely the same. We have no haze or anything on it. So, both methods definitely work very well and can achieve a really good result. Don't expect a new car paint finish on this destroyed hood. We will definitely not be able to achieve that on the hood. In the other areas, we will definitely achieve at least 95% correction effect. Here there are effects like stone chips, sandblasted areas, and also the dotted stone chips everywhere. You can't polish that away. The hood needs to be repainted anyway. I will have that done as well. But it was nice to see how far you can get with the right products. Attention, this does not work with every finish polish and every finish pad. There are massive differences in quality. Some finish pads become so soft after 10 seconds of such handling that nothing happens anymore. Then the backing plate presses through to the paint. But here, if you use good products, and that's why I recommend this to you, and that's why I'm showing you this combination, you can actually achieve a huge cut, even with a Burgundy Swiss A thermopad, even though it's just a finish pad, and with the Pheno 6 a finish polish. It's really impressive what the polishes, pads and machines can do these days. One wouldn't have imagined it like this 10-15 years ago. Back then it would have only used grinding paste. Just one more step, one more step. It's incredible how far technology has come, and it has just demonstrated that impressively. Yes, we will also take a look at the battlefield in the next videos. A brief insight into how to approach an area like this, where you would naturally continue up to the edge here, using 75, and perhaps using a smaller machine on top. Of course, we've seen that in the other videos as well. I don't want to go through it completely from A to Z again in this series. This is really just about showing you how far you can go with these products and what good results you can achieve. And we'll see you in the next part with the next machines, because I want to see if we can achieve such a result with a machine that you might have at home with a 9mm stroke. Now we had 15. Does the stroke make such a big difference? We'll test that in the next video. It's going to be exciting. Until next time, you're Sebastian. Bye guys. I would appreciate a subscription and be happy with a thumbs up. You can find all the products used below in the info box, in the video description, and for any questions, I'm available anytime via WhatsApp, free of charge. Until then, Charlotte, see you in part 2.